Ferrari's 2023 season was an interesting one. In 2022, Ferrari were for a while at the same level as Red Bull. However, in 2023, they suffered with major inconsistencies for a long period of the season. By the end of the year though, they were back fighting Red Bull somewhat consistently, at least with Charles Leclerc. And in today's video, we're going to be previewing Ferrari for 2024, looking at the data from the 2023 season. If you enjoyed the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. Now, let's get to the video. As I mentioned, Ferrari had a bit of a roller coaster season in 2023. It was a season where Ferrari's pace would be excellent one race, then shocking in the next. The season was also very much incident filled, as both Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz had a number of fairly large incidents. Most memorably, Carlos Sainz at Abu Dhabi during practice, and Charles Leclerc in Miami during qualifying. One of the biggest strengths for Ferrari in 2023 though, was their straight line speed. You could see that at a lot of races, Ferrari was typically one of the faster cars in a straight line. This helped them at circuits such as Baku, Spa, Monza and Las Vegas. Coincidentally, this was 4 of their strongest races as well, barring of course the Singapore Grand Prix, which they won. Not only was Ferrari struggling with consistency, but also they were struggling with tyre wear for a large portion of the early part of the season. In the early races, it would not be all too uncommon to see Ferrari drop off faster than their rivals during a stint. To show how bad their tyre wear was early on in the year, I have the laps from Alonso and Carlos Sainz at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Here you can see Ferrari's pace typically does drop off a little bit faster than Fernando Alonso. Also, I have the laps from Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton at the Spanish Grand Prix. Leclerc was not only slow, but also his pace was dropping off faster. To also show off their inconsistencies from the season, I do also have the average times of the Ferrari drivers, and I am going to be comparing it to the times of Max Verstappen in the Red Bull. Please note that in Bahrain, Australia, the Dutch Grand Prix, and the Brazilian Grand Prix, I have not included the times of Charles Leclerc, as he had a DNF from each of those races, or a DNS in the sense of the Brazilian Grand Prix. As for Carlos Sainz, there are no times from the Belgian Grand Prix and Qatar, as he didn't finish the Belgian Grand Prix, and in Qatar, Sainz failed to start. In general, things between Sainz and Leclerc were very close, and they were on average within a tenth of a second to each other for most of the season, showing just how tight it was between them. But there was a few races where there was a fairly large gap. These were at races such as Baku, where Sainz was struggling for pace and grip, whereas Leclerc was in fantastic form as he usually is at Baku. In Spain though, Leclerc was in Spain but without the S, as he just could not get the car to work, and of course there was also that issue with the car as well. And finally in Las Vegas and Abu Dhabi, Leclerc was on another level, whereas Carlos Sainz was really struggling with the car and the balance. Sainz in Abu Dhabi had by far one of his worst performances for a long time, with a terrible qualifying and a terrible race, although of course his race was also compromised by the terrible strategy that Ferrari gave him. In Japan, Ferrari brought a new floor to their car. This new floor breathed new life into Ferrari, especially in qualifying trim. However, the overall pace between Red Bull and Ferrari remained somewhat consistent. It is hard to say if they actually did get any closer to Red Bull in the final couple of races, because even though Leclerc got really close to Verstappen in terms of pace, Sainz had all of a sudden lost a lot of pace and had a lot of struggles. With Leclerc not racing in Brazil due to his crash before the race even started, we were denied a very good indication to see just how far they had come. I just want to say that if you are enjoying the video, then please hit the like button and subscribe for more F1 content. I'm on my way to 5k subs and I would really appreciate it if you help me get there. Now though, let's get back to the video. So why are we looking at the 2023 times? Well, as I mentioned in my McLaren video, and also my preview and predictions video, there has not really been any changes to the regulations this year, meaning that development from 2023 will carry over to 2024. The new floor absolutely started to help Ferrari and help give them a better foundation for the 2024 season. And if it has helped one driver more than the other, then we may see that in 2024, the gap between Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz grow and will be bigger than what we saw for the majority of 2023. We may see the gap be more like it was in 2022, where Charles Leclerc was in general the more competitive driver in Ferrari. If the performance of Leclerc in Vegas and Abu Dhabi is an insight, then Ferrari could be setting themselves up for a very strong year with one of their drivers. And if they are getting this close, then I do think we could see them win some races. Baku, for example, could be a fantastic race for them, especially given how strong Leclerc typically is at that circuit as well. For Charles Leclerc, his 2023 season was filled with ups and downs. His season looked to be starting off strong in Bahrain, as for a while he was the driver closest to Red Bull, but then a power unit issue brought his race to an early end, and then he had to take a power unit penalty in round 2 at Saudi Arabia. This summed up the majority of his year really. In Australia, his race came to an early end as he made a mistake getting involved in an incident with Lance Stroll. Finally though, things were starting to look up in Baku as he had a great race, but in Spain it all came undone again, and like I said, this summed up the first half of his year. At Spa, Leclerc had another strong race, and it looked like things were going to be coming good for him, but then Sainz took control with a podium at Monza and then victory in Singapore, but after that, Leclerc started to find himself with the upgrade in Japan. In Texas he had a strong race but a bad strategy, which meant that he was then beaten before of course he was inevitably disqualified. In Brazil, he had a strong qualifying again and made it look like he could be in a good position for the race, but it of course ended immediately. In Vegas and Abu Dhabi though, we saw great results, and this is why I think we could see him have a much better 2024. When the balance of the car is more to his liking, we start seeing the Charles Leclerc that is one of the fastest drivers on the grid. However, Leclerc can still make the occasional error, which can cost him dearly. In 2024, if he has the car to challenge Max, then he will need to make sure that he irons out these issues. Even so, I can still see Charles Leclerc picking up a few wins if the Ferrari is as fast as I feel like they may be. For his teammate Carlos Sainz, it looked like for a while that in 2023 he was going to beat Charles Leclerc. In fact, when you look at his average pace in some of the races, a lot of the time, especially early on, he had the advantage as he was just faster than Leclerc by about a tenth or so. After the mid-season break, Carlos Sainz came out swinging, leading a portion of the Italian Grand Prix and then of course winning in Singapore. At Texas, he did beat Leclerc, but that was more down to being put onto a two-stop strategy as he was struggling with tyre wear, which turned out to be the better strategy. After this point though, things started to take a turn for the worse for Carlos Sainz. In Mexico, he finished in 4th place, just behind Charles Leclerc, but in the last 2 races, Sainz was pretty much nowhere compared to Charles. This could be leading to a potential issue for Carlos in my opinion. If the car is, as reported, moving towards a style that will suit Leclerc more than Carlos, then I can see him having a bit of a harder time in 2024. That being said, even with him having a more difficult time, I can still see him managing to find a way to win a Grand Prix in 2024 because he does have that performance. He can do it. He has that one race pretty much every year where he is just on another level, and I think we will see that once again this year with him. For Ferrari though, overall I think 2024 will see them having a close fight with McLaren and possibly Mercedes. I think all 3 teams will be close to Red Bull again, and there will be races where these 3 teams can beat Red Bull, but overall I don't think Ferrari will be quite there yet, and in that sense neither will the rest of the teams. I can see them winning 3 races at the very least, and I can see Charles Leclerc getting himself back into the top 3 in the Drivers' Championship. With a Constructors' Championship, I can see Ferrari finishing in 2nd place, unless McLaren make a large stride forward. But that is what I think. The question is though, what do you guys think? Do you think Ferrari can win races? And if so, how many races do you think they will win? And also, what races do you think they will win? And also, who do you think will have the better season? Charles Leclerc or Carlos Sainz? Let me know down below. And as always, comment, leave a like, and subscribe for more F1 content. Thank you all so much for watching.